Happy Thursday. It's New Year's Eve, and I'm Gab, and he's Jules, and we're here for you. The Gab and Jules show isn't abandoning you.
Never.
No, we're counting down the last few hours of this wretched 2020, but hopefully you can do it in our company. Yes, Jules?
Yeah, of course.
And don't worry, we'll be back on Monday. We'll be talking more football, but we've got a pretty packed show because we had La Liga. We have United 3 points off the top of the table with a game in hand, which is no doubt exciting. And of course, Jules, we have to start with what's happening here in the Sceptred Isle, here in the United Kingdom. We've had more than 100,000 positive cases in the last 48 hours in the general population. We've had a whole raft of cases in the Premier League, and we've had the cancellation of Everton against Manchester City and Fulham against Spurs. It feels like everything is going off, and now all of a sudden, until now, you know, again, we're not epidemiologists, so I won't get a variance or whatever, but until now, we're facing the reality that we already have a congested fixture list. Things could be going off the rails a little bit.
You're right. It's really worrying that we had, I think, 18 positive cases in the whole of the Premier League test this week, which was the highest we've ever had. Even back in the pandemic, back in the restart, we never had that many.
Back in the pandemic. This is the pandemic.
I
get what you're saying. Yeah.
But you have to explain to me and to everybody watching and listening. I thought if you had 14 players fit and ready to play, you should play your game. How come those two games were postponed where for Man City we hear that just 5 players who tested negative, and for Fulham we don't even know how many. For all we know, it might be just one, and then the game was postponed.
Okay, I'll explain this because it's caused a ton of confusion, okay? So the rule in the Premier League is, and was going into the season, that you have to have, if you have fewer than 14 fit players, including one goalkeeper, then you basically automatically get to postpone a match, okay?
But that's not the case here, right?
That is not the case here. We don't. This is part of the problem is we don't know how many fit players they have because this is one of the big screw-ups here is there's a complete lack of transparency from everybody involved, right? The clubs issue statements, oh, no, privacy. Privacy what, right? But the Premier League told us, and it's a bit one of those things, if you remember Animal House, double secret probation. Like, oh, no, but yeah, that's the rule. But then we can also decide on a case-by-case basis. Okay, maybe you want to put that in the rules that you can decide on a case-by-case basis. Listen, most important thing is a player's health, right?
Yeah, of course.
And I want to make this very clear to Man City fans because obviously, given that it's Man City, people have started, drawing all sorts of conclusions. Health and safety is the single most important thing. And also, I don't think Manchester City get any kind of real advantage here from postponing this game because if you look at their fixture list, I think in the next 3 months they have one free, if they advance in the FA Cup, they have one free midweek date, okay? So let's be clear on this. Manchester City do not get any kind of advantage from this. That said, I would have liked, and it's not Manchester City's job, it's the Premier League's job, to come out and say, okay, we said we decide on a case-by-case basis. This is the situation with Manchester City. We've had these many positive tests, and these doctors, these independent doctors, have looked at it and said there is the possibility of a flare-up. And they were tested on this day. These people tested positive. If you don't want to give their names, that's fine. These players tested positive, these many players. Because right now what we have is a whole bunch of rumors and uncertainties. And well done, Everton, for coming out and demanding transparency here, demanding clarity and saying, okay, what happened with Manchester City? They shut down their training ground. Then the next day, everybody tests negative again. Because I think it's a legitimate suspicion that this has a lot to do with the testing regimen, which isn't particularly good. Remember, it was twice a week, and then went down to once a week.
Yeah.
I think, and it's a legitimate call by the Manchester City doctors to make, look, we got these tests back on the 25th, right? We had 2 guys positive. Then we did another round of tests. Then we had all these asymptomatic, all these guys who had not tested, who had tested negative, but were showing symptoms. And because it takes time from the infection to you to actually test positive, we had a legitimate fear. That's fine. That's legitimate, completely. Right? But I want a statement that says that. I want a statement from the Premier League that says that. I want transparency, and that's what Everton are asking for, and that's right.
Yeah, but this is the Premier League. This is not the league south of Hertfordshire with plays on Sunday morning. This is the best league in the world. And Mourinho was right yesterday to be so
tell us what
furious.
Mourinho did.
Mourinho and his players had no idea if that game against Fulham would happen or not. They travelled to the stadium. They were ready there, although they still didn't know how do we prepare. Do we get changed? Do we think about warm up?
Less than 4 hours before kickoff?
And of course he's mad.
He sends a tweet out saying it's less than 4 hours to kickoff.
We still don't know.
Best league in the world.
They're just there waiting. And of course he's a bit sarcastic, but he's right. This is the Premier League. You cannot treat all fans around the world, your own players, your own managers, your own clubs like that. Just cancelling a game 2 or 3 hours before kickoff. This is not the way it works. And for all the broadcasters who paid millions of money, who are waiting for that game and instead would have to show like some, I don't know, US series instead or whatever. That's not how you do things.
I think you can cancel it. I have no problem with them canceling it. They could cancel it while the players are walking out of the tunnel if they think it's unsafe. But you owe it to your fans. You owe it to your stakeholders, the 20 Premier League clubs. I'll tell you what, it's not just Everton who are annoyed. It's not just Spurs who are annoyed. There's other clubs saying, well, what happens to us? What happens if we have a suspected outbreak? What chance do we have? Yeah. What are the freaking rules here, right? When you Premier League, you say, oh, well, we spoke to an independent medical advice. Okay, who is it? Who is it? Is it your dog with a stethoscope? Or is it Dr. So-and-so from so-and-so?
Yeah, you're right.
It's all this murkiness, and all it does is just engenders more suspicion, more venom, more nastiness, and that's not what we need right now.
And you reminded me when we were preparing for the show, when Aston Villa and Newcastle game was postponed, as you rightly said, they were both part of the whole discussion.
Exactly.
They were all together, and then the decision was made.
Yeah, so I don't blame Man City, let me be very clear.
Or Fulham.
Fulham. I blame the Premier League here. They're not handling this well. Do a better job.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.